r/AskReddit, what actor or actress stupidly left a movie franchise or TV series thinking they were too good for it, only to be never popular again? Terrence Howard was in Iron Man 1 and was going to become War Machine. This was the very start of the Marvel movies, the MCU. He got bounced, I think, for asking for crazy money. Don Cheadle replaced him for Iron Man 2 and all the movies beyond. Not exactly the same as your question, but Sean Connery turned down the role of Gandalf for $30 million plus 15% of profits, which would have got him about $450 million. He said he didn't understand the script. So next time he was offered a script he didn't understand, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he took it, ended up so disappointed in the product that he retired from acting. Late to the party, but Stuart Townsend was the original casting for Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings movies, but during pre-production and rehearsals he refused to practice things like swordplay, horse riding, action choreography, etc., always responding, "You'll get it on the day." Peter Jackson decided he couldn't work with him. Viggo is brought in literally on the first day of shooting and the rest is history. My ex-girlfriend was on a soap but as a regular extra. They were starting to give her speaking roles, got her SAG card, etc. Once she got her SAG, she demanded more speaking roles or she was leaving. She never got another role after that. Lacey Chabert left Family Guy and was replaced by Mila Kunis, who has made bank between new episodes and syndication. Leo DiCaprio almost missed out on Titanic because he didn't read for parts. James Cameron said something along the lines of, "Okay. Thanks for coming in." Leo responded along the lines of, "Wait. If I don't read I don't get the part?" And Cameron explained he'd be working on the film in post for several years after Leo was done filming and he wasn't going to take the risk of casting the wrong person just because he was popular. Not quite your question, but I found it interesting. Leo's career could have been derailed if he didn't immediately humble himself to a screen chemistry read with Kate. Several of the actors of MASH left early to make it big. None of them really did. Ja Rule was in the first Fast and Furious movie. Brian Dunkelman was co-host of Season 1 of American Idol with Seacrest, and then quit. Over the years it has toggled back and forth between whether or not he would have been fired anyway, but in at least one interview he admitted to quitting and then almost becoming suicidal over it. Geez, BuzzFeed isn't even trying to hide it anymore. Edit, holy shit, my snark is gilded. Thanks guys. David Caruso leaving NYPD Blue, and Shelley Long leaving Cheers are good examples. Chuck Woolery left Wheel of Fortune only to see Pat Sajak host it for over 40 years. Katie Holmes took a pass on The Dark Knight to go be in a movie called Mad Money, and like you, I haven't seen it either. This kind of happened to Topher Grace from that 70s show. He left to be in Spider-Man 3, and I don't think he was what was wrong with the movie. He's popped up here and there and has steady work, but he definitely didn't launch into stardom. That being said, that latter seasons of that 70s show were just plain bad. And he looks almost identical to the way he looked 20 years ago now that he's in that 90s show. Dude seems to have made out just fine. Katie Holmes dropping out of Batman to do a bomb called Mad Money. With Nicole Kidman. The ex-wives of Tom Cruise. Edit, Nicole Kidman was not in Mad Money. My mistake. Katie Holmes turned down a lead in Orange is the New Black. Katie Holmes turned down the role of Buffy in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV series. Remember when Katherine Heigl was nominated for an Emmy, and she withdrew herself from the nominees because she felt the writing hadn't been good enough? I feel like her career never recovered from that. She also went on to say she didn't like the film Knocked Up, which she starred in. I think talking shit about projects you're involved in is a really good way to burn your bridges. Like, half the cast of Downton Abbey. I nominate Harrison Ford as the opposite. He hated Star Wars and the character of Han Solo. Thought it was all pop fantasy junk, which, to be fair, it kinda is. But it made him very rich and kept him famous. So he put on the vest and got back into the pilot seat despite strongly disliking the franchise and his character. He even consented to come back for the sequel trilogy despite his age and the fact that he could never spend the money, simply because Star Wars was so big it kept his name in headlines. Crystal Reed from Teen Wolf. She was so certain she was done she had them kill off her character only for her career to flop outside of Teen Wolf, and 10 years later would come back and have them revive her character for the movie. To be fair to some of the performers who left TV series, the 1-hour format is possibly the most grueling shooting schedule in Hollywood. The leads are often filming 7 days a week with both night and day shots, for almost half the year. If production is not in your backyard, you have to fly and essentially live somewhere else on the few days you get off. Starting or raising a family is difficult, and personal relationships can suffer. If you've already made enough money that you and your family will be taken care of for the rest of your life, why hurt everything for more money? George Lazenby has to be the top answer. Dude with zero acting experience lands the role of James Bond after Sean Connery, and was offered a multi-film deal to be Bond for the foreseeable future. Then, his agent just totally misguides him, telling him both that it's the summer of love and nobody is going to keep wanting to see spy movies about killing people, but also that since he'd already appeared in a film, he could ask for whatever he wanted and they couldn't turn him down. They brought Connery back for a film instead, and Lazenby's acting career basically ended on the spot. Marcus Chong was Tank in The Matrix. Main character in a huge franchise. He had all of these big ideas about how the movie should be done and how his character should progress. That's fine, but he wouldn't stop pushing them on the directors and producers. When it came time to make Matrix 2, he was not invited back. Dude could have literally just shut up, been cool and thankful, and made huge bank and a bigger career. Chad Michael Murray on One Tree Hill. Doesn't qualify as being too good for it, but that actress who got booted off of The Mandalorian and is now doing really crappy conservative funded flicks is a pretty good example. Katherine Heigl. She left Grey's to become a movie star, look how that turned out. She was also a massive problem on the Grey's set. I know he didn't leave the Twilight movies, but Taylor Lautner was supposed to be the next big action movie star, and outside of being Taylor Swift's boyfriend in that Valentine's Day movie, I've never seen him again. Edit. Okay, I get it, he was in some cuckoo British show. But everyone does realize he was last on that show over 5 years ago, right? Does anyone remember Ray William Johnson from =3 who left his show to become a big movie star? Calculin. McLean Stevenson from MASH. Edited for format. More niche, but Michael Shanks leaving Stargate SG-1 only to come back a season later buff as hell. I think he expected to get more roles, but at least they let him come back from the dead. Of course, the most famous. Leonard Nimoy originally requested that Spock be killed off during Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, as he was tired of playing an unemotional inhuman character. He even wrote a book explicitly called I Am Not Spock, but as they were filming the scene before he goes into the reactor, he asked the director if he could do the remember bit on McCoy, as a trapdoor out, just in case. Wrath of Khan made millions, and Leonard Nimoy stepped into the directors and wrote and directed the sequel, The Search for Spock, where his character graciously returns. Years later, he wrote a book called I Am Spock, and acknowledged the fame and impact he has had on society. He did a few other roles in his later life. Edit. So the remember thing was written into the script and not something thought of day of. Bennett used it as a twist and something to lure Nimoy back. You left Melrose Place to do a movie with Carrot Top? Not an answer, but an interesting side note. Matt Damon turned down the lead role in Avatar. James Cameron wanted him so badly he offered him 10% of profits, but Damon still said no. Film made billions, losing Matt Damon around $250 million. Geri Halliwell, Ginger Spice, left the Spice Girls for a solo career. She had 1 or 2 original singles and a cover and disappeared into obscurity. It was so infamous that she was mentioned on Brexit protest signs. https://www.reddit.com/r/ireland/comments/alo/brexit_in_a_nutshell/. Edit. To all the responses saying she married a rich and successful guy, marrying someone with money, while she clearly had her own spice money before, is not the same as breaking away from one of the biggest pop acts of the day and trying to create your own success. That's attaching yourself to his success. She could have had her own career and a successful husband. Tom Hanks left bosom buddies and was never heard from again. Isn't that what happened to the actor who played Mark Brandois? Spelling is probably way wrong, from Parks and Rec? Jonathan Taylor Thomas leaving Home Improvement. When he returned to the show, not only was his movie career dead in the water, but the TV show had left his character behind. Benjamin Bratt. He left Law and Order to capitalize on his stardom, hasn't been in much since The Cleaner and Miss Congeniality. Shelley Long left Cheers, an epic screw-up. Ed Marinaro left Hill St. Blues. Both actors left their roles when the shows were hot at the time. Neither were ever to return to the success they enjoyed on those shows. Valerie Harper left her show Valerie and they replaced her with Sandy Duncan. From the HBO series Girls, the boyfriend of William's character left abruptly because his agents told him he had to capitalize on the popularity of the show before it ebbed. I don't even remember his name. Adam Driver, on the other hand, stuck it out because he has incredible work ethic and loyalty to the projects he starts. And we all know how that turned out. Jessica Raine from Call the Midwife. Ed Skrein left Game of Thrones as Dario Naharis, thinking that if he starred in the reboot of The Transporter it would spawn sequels. Dale from Chip and Dale. Dale left the hit show Rescue Rangers to star in Double O Dale, causing a massive fallout between lovable chipmunks Chip and Dale. Chip never recovered and became an insurance salesman, and Dale does press and fan conventions. Rob Morrow from Northern Exposure. Nina Dobrev left The Vampire Diaries and Megan Boone left The Blacklist, and I haven't seen either of them in much since. Kal Penn leaving House M.D. to work in House, The White. I feel like this applies a bit, but mostly I am still salty over it. As I understand it, the CW had 2 shows for renewal, and only one could survive. Gilmore Girls and Veronica Mars. Veronica Mars got cancelled, Gilmore Girls got picked up. Then, shortly after, Alexis Bledel decided she was done and quit Gilmore Girls, so it got cancelled anyway. Veronica Mars died so Alexis Bledel could go and have a forgettable movie career. The girl who did the voice of Meg on the first episode of Family Guy. I don't even know her name, which shows the result of that. Misha Barton leaving the OC. Farrah Fawcett. She was huge when she left Charlie's Angels to expand her career, and while she did some interesting and critically acclaimed work, her overall body of work is small and sporadic compared to what a major star she was. Craig Kilburn. Pretty sure that's why Elizabeth Berkley and Tiffany Thiessen left Saved by the Bell. A good opposite to this question. Benedict Cumberbatch was doing an excellent radio series called Cabin Pressure. He became big during it but still came back to finish the series. Denise Crosby in Star Trek Next Gen. Chevy Chase leaving / getting booted from Community. He's just completely irrelevant now, just like how he had been for the decade before the show. He's been slowly pushing himself out of the spotlight his whole career, thinking he was better than everyone else. I haven't heard of Charlie Sheen since he left 2.5 Men and the following Tiger Blood implosion. A lot of actresses in this thread. It's possible some of them got Weinsteined and blackballed from the industry. Also, it's possible that some of them were genuinely talented and deserved more, but were punished for asking for it. Suzanne Summers. Gina Carano literally just had to stop tweeting about the Holocaust and vaccines, and she could have had her own show on Disney and continued her major action movie career. They did. I saw a podcast where one of the early producers talked about this. At one point Tolkien had actually wanted Lee to play Gandalf if the live-action production ever happened. By the time they did it though, Lee had some pretty serious back issues and issues with his feet. Gandalf was a pretty physical role. He noted though that Lee knew the source material inside and out. He had intended to play that part. Ian McKellen also had wanted this part for some time. He'd read the books repetitively for years. Lee actually has a somewhat frightening presence. McKellen is a warm, fun guy. The two combined would team up on the production staff and fight about what was in and what was not in the actual story. Lee and McKellen weren't there to do a fantasy movie. They both considered The Lord of the Rings as a British cultural treasure and wanted it treated as such. Being who they were, they basically forced everyone else through sheer willpower to make an even better movie. Both were fantastic, and the movie did radically alter Saruman in ways I haven't always liked. Lee sold every second of screen time though. Today I can't even imagine anyone else playing Saruman. On rereads I hear Lee's voice in my head. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you have enjoyed this video and subscribe to never miss an upload.